The race to 5G is moving forward at full speed, but not without some international controversy. President Trump tweeted today that he, quote, wants to see 5G and even 6G technology in the United States as soon as possible. He also wrote, American companies must step up their efforts or get left behind. This week, Samsung unveiled its first 5G phone that'll go on sale later this year. Providers like AT&T have promised 5G connectivity, but have fallen short of delivering true 5G coverage. Competition from Chinese tech company Huawei has sparked global tension. The company has secured rollout contracts in nearly 30 countries, but the U.S. says it considers the company a national security threat. In his first TV interview with an American reporter, Huawei founder and CEO Ren Zhengfei spoke to Bianca Golodriga.
They've been regarding 5G as the technology at the same level of some other military equipment. 5G is not an atomic bomb.
5G is the latest high-speed mobile innovation, promising to multiply wireless internet speeds and increase coverage.
Now we are rolling out 5G, and soon we'll welcome 6G. And in the future, I said there will be new equipment that is suitable for the United States.
But U.S. intelligence agencies are concerned about Huawei's 5G growth.
It is so much faster, and it allows such a larger data flow that it significantly enhances the capabilities of an intelligence service to steal data.
Former CIA Acting Director Michael Morrell.
So 5G is going to allow a much larger number of devices to be connected to the internet. When you connect more devices, you create more platforms from which an intelligence service can spy from.
The Trump administration has warned its allies that it may reconsider its military relationships with countries that use Huawei.
We cannot ensure the defense of the West if our allies grow dependent on the East.
Do you view that as a threat?
First of all, I would like to thank them because they are great figures. 5G was not known by common people, but now these great figures are all talking about 5G, and we're becoming more influential and getting more contracts.
I sense a little bit of sarcasm there.
Oh, please tell them. I'm actually thanking them for promoting us.
Despite warnings from the Trump administration, some of our European allies, including Germany and the UK, are reportedly considering allowing Huawei to build their high-speed infrastructure.
It's technologically advanced, it's reliable as all get out, and it's affordable.
Some Americans already rely on Huawei technology.
This is Scobie. We're in the middle of nowhere.
Like Mike Kilgore, who runs a wireless provider servicing more than 11,000 square miles of rural Montana.
We've heard of the security concerns. We've heard of the allegations of connections to the Chinese government, but nobody's ever produced any evidence related to that.
As the Trump administration weighs a ban on all Chinese telecoms in the U.S., Kilgore is worried his company wouldn't survive, leaving his community essentially without service.
If you did not have the ability to dial 911 from a cell phone, I can't, that turns my stomach.
For Ren, despite all the criticism from the administration, he knows his company's future in America is in the president's hands.
For President Trump, I think he is a great president because in a very short period of time, he was able to reduce the tax rate.
You speak very highly of President Trump, yet he is likely to issue an executive order banning your company from doing any business in the United States. How do you square the two?
Well, we have never had many sales in the United States, but we didn't give up our efforts in this country.
Well, CNET senior producer Dan Patterson now joins us for a deeper dive into all of this. Dan, before we take that dive into this technology, all of its implications, Explain to us, for those of us who aren't exactly, tech literate, tech savvy as you are, in simple terms, what exactly is 5G?
All right, 5G is the fifth or the next generation of mobile technology. If you look at your phone now, more likely than not, at the top it will say LTE or 4G. Now, this is kind of a marketing term that is used to describe a cluster of technologies. So without getting terribly geeky about how this works, we're looking at more transmitters, more densely packed, kind of the difference between FM and AM. If you remember, AM waves go a long distance, but it's less high quality. FM waves pack it in, so it's very high quality. Same thing with 5G, or similar to 5G. They require more transmitters. They're called millimeter wave because they transmit a high quality band, very short distances, which also means that we can transmit more data faster. So not just zippy, but small amounts of data. It means the kind of data that you would have if you were to plug in your regular desktop computer to an Ethernet jack. So lots and lots of data very fast to a number of different devices.
So let's unravel that thread a little bit. This goes beyond cell phones.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so we have these emerging technologies that you can read about on CBSNews.com or on CNET.com, one of which is called the Internet of Things. So this is not just mobile devices, but it's everything around us. So think about your connected car, connected traffic lights, exercise equipment. Everything around us will be digitized and connected to networks. Right now with 4G, it's hard to put a lot of devices with high capacity data on one node. But with 5G, we can connect many, many more devices and not sacrifice on that speed or the throughput of data, which means we could see this explosion of, again, IoT devices, but we'll also see things like virtual reality, augmented reality without the cables that kind of tether us to the desktop computer right now.
Nobody likes those bundles of cords and all that sort of stuff. This week, Dan, you visited a 5G lab here in New York that's advancing some of this technology. It's powered by Verizon. What did you learn about the advances being made with regards to 5G?
Well, all the major data carriers are trying to roll out 5G in one way or another. This particular lab uses some really interesting applications of 5G. One is volumetric capture. So you stand in a room, cameras surround you, and they take pictures of you. All of a sudden, you show up as a hologram. Right? So that's pretty futuristic, but being able to do this without wires and without being tethered to any one particular, you have to be in one location is pretty fascinating. Now that's being used for fashion and other things right now, but you can think of all different types of uses in the home. We also saw augmented reality and virtual reality. And again, not having cables is a very transformative experience. All of a sudden, you are not locked into place, and virtual and augmented reality is where you hold your phone up or another device and you can see a hologram or something that looks like it superimposed on the world. All of a sudden, these use cases for AR and VR become really, really fascinating.
In terms of enabling 5G connectivity, how far along are these companies actually?
Well, that's the challenge. So everyone would like to roll out 5G right now. AT&T has a campaign that's called 5G Extended. Look, we are not there yet. Again, because 5G requires more transmitters that are more densely packed, the rollout is just going to take longer than what we saw with 4G, and especially in rural areas. We can see transmitters that will repeat signals over long distances, but hey, look, I lived in a rural area for a very long time, and I know that even 4G or 3G technology was just difficult when you have miles and miles between transmitters. So it's not as though this technology is really hard to do, it's just hard to do in a short amount of time.
How'd you characterize it a minute ago? It's rolling out at dial-up speed, I believe you said.
Right, yeah. So these blazing fast networks are rolling out at dial-up speeds.
You asked Verizon's vice president of 5G labs that you visited there about security.
The good news about some of the wireless cellular technology is that security is a basic fundamental requirement for every level of the protocol. If I want to go into a geeky description of how security works, when we build services over our wireless networks, whether it be 3G, 4G, and now 5G, security testing is a very important function, and we take it seriously today, and it's even more paramount when we are talking about connecting everything in in the future, that it be a fundamental building block of the technology, and it is.
Dan, given the international concerns about companies like Huawei, why is security such a key issue for American companies pursuing this connectivity?
There are a few concerns. One is that, look, if you send data over a network and only one company controls that network or the hardware on it, it's very difficult to know what data is being harvested and sent back through the company's servers. The other major concern is what we talked about a moment ago, the Internet of Things. Now, look, when we have just our mobile phones connected, that kind of limits the amount of data. But when everything is connected, you have smart cities, right? And you have the entire infrastructure of the city, including what we call the industrial Internet of Things. And these are all the sensors that run water, gas, and other utilities. Those two will be connected. And when that type of stuff is mapped through one data network or one hardware provider, all of a sudden you put a lot of power into the hands of one company.
It's dicey. Brave new world. If we could only be as tech savvy as Dan Patterson here. Thank you, Dan.